Good day to everyone. Now we are going to talk about wounds or cuts. What to do for wounds or cuts? Well, the main concern when somebody has a cut is the hemorrhage. That's the number one. Of course, if a wound is too big and you need sutures for it, you may need to find somebody that may help you for that. In the meantime, of course, you know that you can get the debris out, anything dirty, like ground or things out of the wound, and then cover it and press it until you get to somebody that can help you. You may even apply a tourniquet for a little while just to prevent that more blood comes out. Those are all things that you can do. But in cases that you don't really need that kind of assistance and you're wondering what you can do at home, simple, that you don't have to be worrying about, there are several things you can do. Number one, the simplest thing is to get turmeric. Luyan dilaw, well known in the Philippines. Luyan dilaw, the orange yellow one. So the idea is you get the root and you grind it and then you put it directly on the wound. Of course, make sure the luyan dilaw, the turmeric, has been washed previously very well. You can even take the skin if you want, but in an emergency situation, you really wash it really well. Make sure there is no big parts of it, and you just grind it and put it on. The other way of doing it that is even simpler is just keep in your home some luyan dilaw or turmeric powder. The ones that is for cooking, same that we did the demonstration for the rice or for the other green banana with the skin casserole. When you do that, when you take this luyan dilaw powder, you apply it on the wound will stop the hemorrhage. If you don't have that, or you want to use another form, you want to even see for yourself, I don't really want my hand to be with color orange or yellow, that's fine. You can use other ways to do it. If it's not a big wound, you may want to go to your trees around and find a lanka tree, which is jackfruit. And you find this sap that has the lanka and you put directly. Make sure there is no dirt into the leaves and the branches that you break, the little sticks maybe, and you put the sap, that goes out of it, the white one, directly on the wound. It is antiseptic. It will keep the wound from getting infected. Besides that, it will help to get the coagulation process and prevent that it will continue bleeding. So it will cause an anti-hemorrhagic effect. If you have other plants like manga, well known in the countrysides, manga or malamanga, some people call it. It is a tree that is basically a round timber. It is used for building cubos or houses, and it is round, of course, and it is also a plant that is similar to the mango tree. The leaves are very similar. When you break the leaves, it has a very abundant white sap that is really, really nice for wounds. It stings sometimes a little bit in the wound, not all the time, but it is good for the wounds to stop the bleeding and also to keep healing the wounds. If you have a big wound and you still want to use something, you don't want to go to any place and have sutures, you don't have money, whatever, you are in the mountains, you don't know what to do, you are far from help, you still have some other things that you can do if you don't even have that. There may be around you what we call sahin in the Philippines, or it is a tree resin. If you may have cut one time a mango tree or a cashew tree or some other trees like round timbers, you may notice that some of these big trees, they have what it is called a resin. It's a liquid jelly that comes out, and as the time passes, as the sun is heating it and the air is blowing on it, the oxygen is hitting it, then it will turn into a hard, very clear crystal type substance. At that time, you cannot use it because it's already hard. But when the sap that is resin is coming out and it's still soft, kind of jelly, You can use that one and apply it directly on the wounds that you have, and it will not allow infections to grow. Of course, you wash, take all the debris. Let's say you have a cut here, you wash all the debris, and then you put the resin right there, and then you take a gauze or a clean cloth, even passing iron if you have an iron at home. Those ways would be easy to keep any bacteria out of the place. And then you put the gauze, you just buy gauze, or put a cloth and then wrap it in there, keep it in place. I'm just showing the hand because it's easier. Beside that, I'm just remembering my son's experience, which I will show you the pictures, when he cut himself, and we had the experience of using the resin and the manga sap to help him with the healing in his wound. So you can apply it. The sap, actually, you can apply it several times a day, as much as you can remember. You can wrap it and then open it whenever you want to put the sap, but you have to be careful because sometimes it sticks. The gauze may stick to the wound. I rather, if it's not really big, I rather just keep it open with the sap, and every time during the day you remember, just put a little more. So you just go to the tree, get a little sap, put in more, and then just go on. It will fall down, but whatever is left, it will help to keep healing the wound. Then the next time, maybe 3 hours later, you remember and you go back again to the tree, you put another sap, and you keep going. If it is really big and you want the resin to be there in place, or the sap to remain more in the place and cover it with so there's no dust or dirt coming into it, or even that it will not stick, into places like your clothing or so on, you can keep it with a gauze, cover it, and then whenever it's needed, you just add the sap or uncover and put more sap. If the gauze is too thick or it's even with tape, then you have to open it to be able to put. If it stick together, then don't worry, just keep adding the sap on the side. So for example, if you open it like this, it is not coming off because it's stuck into it. Just open it a little bit, put sap into it, because remember, if it's stuck, there's no bacteria going in. As long as it's like that, there's no bacteria going in. So you just cover it again and keep it covered. Whatever little you can put, it will continue healing on the sides that are still open, and it will help. Simple things you can do. Now let's talk about the wound that is in another side, not because of a cut, but because it's a wound. Maybe you had a cold and maybe a mass, or you have something else that caused the wound, like somebody sleeping for a long period of time in a bed, what we call decubitus ulcers, which is very bad for areas where the bones are exposed. Like these, bones are more prominent, or the back, they are very common on the back, or the heel. So the idea is, when you have wounds like that, of course, the most important thing is rotate the patients, the persons in their beds at least every 2 hours, so they cannot get these wounds again. So you avoid it. But if you cannot avoid it and you have it already, what is the best thing to do? Of course, you can have all the wound care you need and you can have it, but if you don't have anything available, any help also, what do you do at home that is affordable to you? Well, one of the things that is not really affordable but is useful is using honey, pure honey. You just have to make sure it's pure honey and it's not diluted. Why? Honey containers, when it's pure, the honey can last even to 4 years without spoiling. When you buy honey and it's in 1 week spoiled, that means saliva has been there or water has been there because it's diluted, and they maybe are selling it for more amount because they put more water into it to make it more amount, but sadly to say, that will spoil the honey. So if you know that there's a good source of honey, you can find pure honey and you can have some at home for this kind of situation, go ahead. Especially if you have a diabetic person with you, you may want to have some honey, not to eat, but to help in the wounds. If you have, go ahead and use it. What do? You get the pure honey, then you wash the wound with guava leaf tea. Guava leaf tea is one of the simplest things in the Philippines to wash wounds. It's very good antiseptic. You make the tea of the leaves. Steeping, of course, you may remember already that we did the explanation how to do the steeping process or infusion. to keep more of the properties of the leaves. And then when the tea is done and is cooled down, not hot, you are going to wash the wound of the person, and you take all that debris, pus that is coming out, all that you can wash it off with guava leaf tea. Once it's all washed, even if you see the bone there inside, you wash all that, no worries. Wash all that. Make sure you're using gauze and gloves and everything, and even face mask. And then to stop contamination for you, and also to avoid contaminating the person. If you don't have, maybe close your mouth, don't breathe so much the fumes that are coming, maybe, but the best is to use a mask to avoid cross-contamination, one way or the other one. You contaminate the person, or the person contaminate you with the fumes, with the smell that is coming. And besides that, it's not that nice sometimes, the smell. I have done that many times in my nursing career, so I know what I'm talking about. So when the person has these wounds, you wash it well with the guava leaf tea. You use the gauzes or clean, very clean cloth, even with iron. And then when you take all that out, now you are going to dry it really well. Why? Remember, honey diluted will cause infection. Everything grows in honey when it's diluted. Nothing grows in honey when it's pure. So no fungus, no virus, no bacteria. It will be clean, good. So the idea will be, when it is now the drying process, you want to use gauze or anything that is well clean, and you can tap it, not rub it, because may be hurting, but whatever the idea is, just clean it and dry it well. When it's really, really dry, you are going to put honey into the wound inside and cover it with honey, all the wound. If it's a big wound, just put honey inside. Cover it well, and then you cover with gauze to avoid the honey to come out or to be spread out in the bed. You may want to use several gauze or big cloth, so you can wrap it with plastic and keep it in place, or some kind of linen that will avoid, or tape, these hospital tapes that you can buy in the pharmacy, and keep it in place in a way that will keep the honey in. You can change it 2 times a day, you can change it overnight, you can change it 3 times if you want, however you prefer, but the honey must be there in a clean environment and a dry environment. If it's getting pus again, and you can see even worms coming out because flies are coming around, you have to clean all that. Take all that away. Somebody that stand doing it, because if you don't have the stomach to do it, you may fall off, because you may not be able to stand the smell or the picture of it. So clean it, wash it with guava leaf tea, dry it well, put the honey, cover it well, and you can change it 3 hours or 4 hours, 3 times a day, however you prefer and however is affordable for you. Now that's if you have honey. If you don't have honey, what else do you do? There are other options that have been good in the treating of wounds like this, like pure, a refined white sugar. You can use that. It's not the best. I don't like the idea myself, but sometimes if that's the only thing you have, you can do it in emergency situations. Or you can try the fruits of the ripe fruits. So the pulp of, for example, papaya, make sure it's clean. Nothing wrong with using the papaya, the fruit. You get the fruit, smash it, and put it in the wound. No water adding, just the fruit, the pure fruit. Even other sweet fruits that are available, you can use them, and then put it in the wound instead of honey. That could help. And if you don't have that, or you want to use something else, even the resins that you buy in the market, the sahin, you can use it. Make sure there is no debris in it that was not contaminated, and as long as you put it there will be no bacteria growing in sahin, there will be no viruses, nothing grows in sahin, because it's a clean environment, it's an antiseptic, antimicrobial. Therefore, you don't have to worry, as long as there is no debris, because the debris, the ground and other things, if it was not carefully placed, then it will cause infection. You may remember that the sahin or the resin from the tree will harden by the oxygen presence or the sun. So if you want to keep more of this resin well for another time, you want to keep it in a container, maybe glass or plastic, but close and cover. Put it in a place that is dark, that it will not be hit by the sun, so it will not harden. Okay?
He's Coming Broadcasting Network.